Are you ready to lead with impact? Well, friend, you're in the right place. Today, you can join Carol Fairman and Dr. Guy Henry as they begin exploring what it means to lead with impact. So, pull up a chair, grab your coffee, a pen and paper, and get ready to have some deep conversations with Carol and Guy as they walk you through what it means to lead with impact. Welcome to Leading with Impact with Dr. Guy Henry and Carol Fairman. Today, we're excited to launch our very first episode of our podcast, where we're coming together because we're going to give you the very best of the best of effective leadership with team dynamics in any team structure. And we're not going to just leave it with the internal structure of your team, but we're going to teach you how to take it and apply it to donors, how to use it with the people that you are serving, whether you're a business owner, a ministry owner. We're here to guide you and walk you through effective leadership. So I'm going to start off by asking Dr. Guy Henry to just share a little bit about yourself.
Hey, welcome everyone to our first episode of Lead with Impact. For me, for the past 30 years, I've been kind of on a journey, everywhere from the mission field to corporate organizations and a lot of stuff in between. My career as a missionary, actually, I've had the privilege of working in Honduras with a lot of youth, training up leaders from pastors to community leaders and even some of the highest levels of government. So just it's my passion to help people empower themselves, build their faith, to be able to expand what they do and how they do it, to work together in teams. I love helping people become more self-aware of who they are because we have these innate gifts, and then how to turn that into better communication. And and then with better communication, we can create a positive conflict situation. That is to say, we're going to have conflict in life, but how about
Right.
we create it positively so that we can actually create a desired culture rather than just living by the status quo. So that's a little bit about me and my background and just kind of what we hope to bring as a portion of this podcast to just help people lead better and with greater impact.
Exactly. And I just love that we have the opportunity to team up. We've both have a deep rooted history in the nonprofit, NGO, not-for-profit sector, right? Where we have been able to pour into the ministry and the community needs. And along the way, we really have to develop that um team culture so that we can serve in the community effectively, right? And if we're not all tucked up and buttoned up inside in the walls of the ministries that we're leading, how does that translate outside of the walls? And how is that impacting the services that we're providing in the community? And so I
Mhm.
bring to the table 25 years of nonprofit ministry leading. It's been a powerful experience for me to serve in that. And beyond that, just taking it outside the walls of the nonprofit where I have developed stage and fundraising skills that I never thought I'd ever be fundraising. And I've raised millions and millions of dollars over the past 7 years, and it just blows me away. But it all starts with that team dynamic, effective leadership within the walls of the ministry that you've been called to lead. And once you do that well, it pours out, right? It flows out into the community. And so I hope to share those strong ways to connect with intention with those that we're serving. And so I feel like together we're going to teach you to lead with impact, not just the team, but those that God has called you to serve and take care of. So I'm excited about coming together in this venue where we can take 50 years of ministry service together and really pour it out into others and begin helping others shape their leadership style. I'm excited, Dr. Henry. I
Mhm.
mean, wouldn't you say that this is just going to be some powerful stuff?
Well, I know some of the things that we've talked about, there's a lot of stuff out there that's going to be coming in. And of course, we can't dump it all into one episode, right? But,
Right.
if you
And I'd
really
love
think about
to.
everything that we do successfully requires other people. It requires a team. And that's just
Yes.
one of the things, whether it's your family, that's a team, a nonprofit, an organization, a company, whatever. And a team isn't just this collection of individuals. It really is a dynamic system where each person applies their strengths and then allows their weaknesses to be picked up by the strengths of others. So that
Yes.
interaction really helps develop the overall culture of that team, right? And
Exactly.
so that's why
Exactly.
communication is so important. So we can learn how to support one another, not kind of get all inside of me, right?
Yes. You're right.
And then see people as more than just coworkers, but rather part of a united force.
Powerful. Exactly. And when I think of this and folks, as you listen, Mike and I are Dr. Guy and I are very Christ-centered in the things that we do. And so when I look at team leadership and culture, it's the body of Christ, and we all have a part to play. And if one part isn't doing their part, the the whole suffers, right? And so that's why I love the mission that we have, where we're helping leaders and teams thrive by enhancing their self-awareness, their communication, the conflict resolution side, skills that are going to just help them build strong and positive culture within the walls so that they can serve effectively. And so I just love that that's the mission that we have as we're putting this program together for you all. And so with that, I think today I just would love, Guy, for you to just share just a little bit. You started to about the dynamics and the importance of the team culture, that team dynamic. If it's not running effectively, like if one part of the body isn't doing, the backbiting, all those kinds of things that we can see, gossip, like there's nothing worse than, like
Mhm.
that is a fireable offense in my ministry. If you've got something to say, you must bring it to one another. That Matthew 18 principle, there's no room for those things. But as you're looking at effective dynamics, how do you set them up for success? How do you set your team up for success to keep gossip out and that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, I think that the answer to that question might take more than a minute.
Okay,
But
but give
in
us a
essence,
surface
yeah,
answer
right.
then.
Yeah, it might take the next 20 episodes. But
Okay, I'm
but
in.
yeah, well, the one of the things that I think many people oftentimes don't realize is that we all have our own kind of our communication style.
Mm,
And a lot of that's based on our personality and the dynamics of our own life and experiences. So a lot of times that challenge is the miscommunication because we're all
yes,
communicating, but there's 2 points of view. So I'm dealing with something and you're dealing with something, and then I see it from this way and you see it from that way. So I speak from my past experience as well as my communication style, and you're speaking from your past experience and your communication style, and we're not lining. It's kind
that's
of like
right.
I'm speaking green and you're speaking red, so
Right.
I like to use that analogy because we're looking at the same thing. We have to come back and remember we are here for a common cause. The
Yes.
vision, the purpose of this organization, this ministry is
Mm,
this. And if we know
right.
what that is, then we all have to realize I'm looking at the same thing from a different angle. Let me speak, or rather, I will let you speak so I can see what you're seeing from over here, and then we can look at what's coming. So once we get those two different perspectives, then we can come to a common ground. Like I said, that's a big question, but in essence,
Yeah.
it's getting into the spirit of team, if I could say it that way, where we realize we are here for one common cause, and that is the
Right.
success of this organization and this ministry to
Exactly.
reach its purpose.
Yes. And that really happens through strong teams, right? I've heard you say time and time again that cohesive teams, including it includes increased productivity, innovation in a positive work culture. You're so known for talking about that positive work culture. And so really when we recognize the importance of team dynamic, the benefit in that is that we're going to have a thriving strong team, that strong team culture that's going to move the mission of the ministry or
Mhm.
business forward. um that's just good stuff right there. And like you said, we could dive in and talk about these things for probably hours, and you and I are both, we could be chatty patty when we start talking about the ministries and the ways that we lead, that effective leadership. And so I think today I would like to charge everybody, take an inventory. How are you communicating in your ministry? How is your team communicating? Is there a disconnect somewhere? What can you do better? So I'm charging our listeners today to kind of take a look, do a self checkup so that, and we want to hear from you. If you're recognizing
Mhm.
a disconnect, reach out so that we can address these in future episodes, because we've, we're in this for the long haul. We've been around a long time, and we've got a lot of tools in our toolbox that we want to put in yours. We want to give you tools in your leadership so that you can be the most impactful leader. And that's going to trickle down to the people that you're serving in the business world or in your ministry world, really, even just
Mhm.
your family. So, Dr. Guy, what can we tell our audience what to expect in the future?
Well, I think in a sense we've kind of touched it, but specifically in some of these future episodes, I think we can dive into self-awareness. I think a lot of times
Yes.
we hear that term anymore. I think
Yes.
it's kind of common, but when we need to be aware of who we are,
Mm,
because God has given us gifts. And
yes.
I think we as humans have a tendency sometimes, wow, she's such a great speaker and he can do this and that, and I can't do that like that. No, that's okay. You're a different brick in the wall, and
Right.
finding out what that is so that we can be comfortable in being that. Because the more we become aware of ourselves, it's easier to become aware of others,
Yes.
And then I think personal leadership development. I like to say personal leadership because we have to lead ourselves. And
Yes.
it's
Absolutely.
important that we are all finding ways to develop ourselves. And then, like I said earlier, let's talk about how to create positive conflict. If
Love
we
it.
just recognize that conflict is inevitable,
Right.
but unresolved conflict creates a toxic atmosphere.
Yes.
So
Yes. That
how do we get that conflict resolved with positive impact
I love it.
so that in essence we lead with impact that way?
I
As a
love
few
it.
examples, I think there's a few other things you might have in mind.
Yes. So just to piggyback on some of those things, I want, focusing on that internal, right? Ah, everything that we are flows from the heart, right? And so if that internal culture in the business that you're running or the ministry you're running, if there's disconnect, it's not flowing out effectively, right? And then you're not meeting the community needs, you're not serving clients, you're losing customers, you're losing donors, right? You don't want that, or people don't want to be on board at all, because if they're looking in, right? Remember, people are looking into whatever business you're running, whether it's a fast food joint, whether it's a medical clinic, people are looking in, and what's going on internally flows through. Because if you've got internal conflict and an underground fire happening, Susie calls up to get a doctor appointment. but Amy on the other end just had a fight because she couldn't believe that so and so did such and such again. And then that
Mhm.
just trickles out into the client that's calling for the appointment. Well, no thanks, I don't want to go there, right? Because it pours out. And so when we are functioning beautifully and effectively internally in that business, we're going to be even more impactful and effective in the community, whatever it is we're serving. And I mean, it could be anything. If you're the Etsy, got a business on Etsy, or if you're a pampered chef person, or doing the gym hustle, or running nonprofits like Guy and I
Mhm.
do, it trickles out. And so it does start within. And so Guy is going to continue, I think, to pour into us and teach us how to be self-aware and our emotional intelligence. And how do we connect intentionally inside? And I want to help us apply it outwardly, because when all those things are together, then we can bring in more customers. Who doesn't want more customers? Who doesn't want returning customers? Who doesn't want more donors and long-term donors? And we're just gonna give you a broad spectrum of how all these things impact leadership. And so when you lead with intention, when you connect with intention, then you're leading with impact.
Very good. Very good.
So stay tuned.
Yeah. But thank you for those that have already kind of joined in on this.
Yes.
I'd like to, one more statement maybe before closing,
Sure.
is to remember that great teams aren't just born, they just don't happen.
Yes.
Even from the family dynamics all the way to the biggest organization, great teams are not just by default. They have to be built.
Yes.
So maybe together, we can start building something that will help other people build.
Oh, I know that we will. And so, how do you find us outside of here? You can go to www.carolfairman.com or www.drhigh-henry.com henry.com. And so stay tuned, friends, because we will be back with more Lead with Impact episodes coming your way soon.